The featured company is a paid client of Proactive Group Holdings, and this recording is disseminated by Proactive on its behalf.
So it's a very economic way of just turning the drill rig and drilling down. But this was quite deep, about 390 meters we finished, and we got about 125 meters of mineralization. And, the challenge has been that's 3 holes, almost 500 meters of visual mineralization. But the problem is you have to cut all that. So we're kind of bottlenecked a bit with cutting and getting the samples to the lab.
All right, welcome back inside our Proactive newsroom. And joining me now is Patrick Cruickshank. He's the CEO of ninemilemetlas. And Patrick, it's great to see you again. How are you?
I'm great. Thanks for having me back.
Yeah, well, another hole you've been able to release from the drill program, and it continues to do what it's been doing, and that is expand the mineralization. So talk to me a bit about this particular hole, where it was, and really what you saw.
Yeah, this is hole number 3 that we've press released, and they're all from the same pad. But what we did in the northeast part of the mine to the eastern extension, which has never been drilled and mined out, we did a fan. So hole 1 was at 1 degrees, and then the second one in 3-1. So at the bottom of the hole, around 300 meters or so on, they're about 50 to 100 meters apart. So it's a very economic way of just turning the drill rig and drilling down. But this was quite deep, about 390 meters we finished, and then we got about 125 meters of mineralization. And, the challenge has been that's 3 holes, almost 500 meters of visual mineralization. But the problem is you have to cut all that. So we're kind of bottlenecked a bit with cutting and getting the samples to the lab. So we just finished cutting that hole, and we'll be forwarding that ASAP.
But it's obviously gives you some that you're kind of in the right area, right? As you mentioned, never been drilled before. So what you're seeing, that gives you some confidence that you're on the good path, so to speak.
Yeah, because we don't have the original mine workings, we don't know in the central area of the old mine where the tunnels are, because the top third was mined and then it collapsed. So the bottom third, but we can't just drill through the workings, right? There could be equipment, there could be all kinds of things. So we've gone to the eastern flank, western flank, and down below, and we're really going to test this quite deep. That's where the rig is right now, testing the depth. And then, we look really forward to, 3 for 3 is not too bad.
Yeah, obviously there's still a large majority still to come of the 10,000 meter program. So how do you want investors to look at this? Because they may think right off the bat, oh, this is great, but there's obviously still a lot more to come. So it's early days, but positive early days. Is that a way to look at it?
Yeah, this is our 3rd drill program at the Wedge, and each one you learn a lot more. And we've 3D modeled this with Apex Geoscience and Mike Dufresne and our technical group. And we have all the historic. We have over 300 holes. Some of the old data is not accurate, but we're finding that out because they didn't have GPSs back in the day, right? Part of me believes they also didn't want to tell all the government everything that they were that where they were, right? They didn't want their neighbors to know where the stuff was. So anyway, it's an ever evolving live 3D model. We're very excited to take this to the next level, and we're probably going to expand this program. We have our 2nd rig coming, and we'll be I think we'll because we still want to hit our other targets, not just the Wedge, and we've had very good luck with the weather, right? So we're on track. We're having success, which is slowing us down because usually you have 30, 40 meters, not 100 or 200 meters mineralization. So it's a good problem to have.
Absolutely. And last question, Patrick, and that is you hinted at it in your last answer, and I wanted to ask you about it. Just this modern geology and modern way of doing things you have now. Is this an area that really benefits from that modern geology?
It does. It's come leaps and bounds, the new geophysics and so on with, because it's very conductive, right? VMS and critical minerals. But what's really interesting is we're finding multiple new lenses, which is why we're saying this mine is very economic and we're going to bring it back. They all, back in the day, they really didn't have the geophysics, and they didn't even assay for gold and silver and so on. It was just lead zinc. So they left the copper on the table, they left the gold and so on. So we're getting spectacular results. And the geophysics is helping us expand the footprint. that's the biggest thing, right? With using the drone and the bore, we actually have the borehole end coming on the western side. And what that'll do, we'll be doing 4 or 5 borehole surveys, which will give us, it'll look in all 360 degrees every 10 meters as it goes down the hole, down to 500 meters. So it'll give us about 200 to 300 meters in all directions. So we should be able to see the old workings. We should be able to see where mineralization still is intact with the lenses. So that's going to be we've held off on the west and the northwest side until we get that, just to be safe. So that's coming in the next 2 weeks. So we're really excited to show it. Yeah. But it's not so much the geophysics, but it's the interpretation, and that's where we've really differentiated in the last 2 years, is bringing Mike Dufresne and his Bathurst VMS camp. We just hired Art Hamilton, one of the premier experienced VMS PGOs in the Bathurst camp, worked at Heath Steel with Glencore and so on. So we're really building our talent pool, and it's really reflecting in our drill targeting, and obviously those intersections speak for themselves.
Absolutely. Patrick, thanks so much. Really great update as always. And we look forward to our next conversation. Okay.
Thanks for having me.
Good to see you. Patrick Cruickshank, the CEO of ninemilemetlas.
The featured company is a paid client of Proactive Group Holdings, and this recording is disseminated by Proactive on its behalf. It is for informational purposes only and does not constitute investment advice, an offer, or a solicitation to buy or sell any securities. Viewers should conduct their own research and consult a qualified financial advisor before making investment decisions. The views expressed are those of the speaker and do not necessarily reflect those of Proactive Group Holdings, trading as Proactive Investors, or its affiliates. No responsibility is accepted for any loss arising from reliance on the information presented.